People do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of their character.
Welcome to the Character Class podcast, where we share stories, solutions, and strategies for strengthening character. Here's your host, author, speaker, and character educator, Andrew Francis.
Welcome. I'm excited to have you join me for another episode. The Character Class is now in session. Thank you for taking the time to listen in today. The Character Class is the place where you can share your stories, learn strategies, and practical ways to strengthen your character. The place where business executives, educators, and leaders learn to build character and become better. We are continuing our series on emotional intelligence and just how important it is in the formation of our character. Our emotions are how we interact with the world. They interpret to the brain how we will approach any situation. They serve as a lens through which we evaluate our experiences. So as such, it becomes very essential to be able to intelligently translate our emotions for the maximum benefit of our character. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that people do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of their character. Have you ever had one of those one-sided conversations in your head about how someone made you feel? Or how a certain situation you were placed in just seemed wrong? And then have you ever gone back and found out the truth about that particular situation to discover that the one-sided internal conversation that you were having was completely wrong? See, not having the correct capacity of emotional intelligence to interpret or navigate certain situations may lead us to develop an opinion of the world that turns out to just be a confession of our character. A lot of times we expect people to do what we would do in similar situations. Now, the last time we mentioned that part of developing emotional intelligence is being able to break through emotional barriers. I shared with you that Mr. Jason Wilson addressed this issue in his book, Breaking Through Emotional Barriers, the 4 F's to Emotional Freedom. A link to this resource will be listed in the show notes. And we'll get to the 4 F's right after this brief commercial break for his latest book, Cry Like a Man.
During my era, smiling or showing emotions was a sign of weakness and could possibly cost you your reputation or your life. Unfortunately, I willingly allowed misconstrued masculinity to not only define who I was as a young man, but also a husband. When I wanted to be different and follow my dreams, I chose to fit in and followed others. When my heart wanted to freely love my wife, misleading manhood mantras like bros over hoes made me fear transparently trusting my wife. From a young age, I was taught that crying was a sign of weakness, but actually, it's a sign of being human. Dr. William Frey discovered that emotional tears contain stress hormones which get excreted from the body through crying. So when we do not express the pain inside, we slowly self-destruct inside. On my journey to emotional freedom, I discovered that men of all ethnicity want to be free to feel, even to feel something painful and not push it away. To cry, just cry like a man.
We're back, and once again, that book is Cry Like a Man, and you can find it on Amazon. I'll leave a link for it in the show notes. This is not an affiliate link. I just believe in promoting products that will uplift and bring about the change we so desperately need. Mr. Wilson shares in Breaking Through Emotional Barriers that the emotional barriers can keep us from our purpose. When we have the wrong perspective, emotional barriers may appear to be insurmountable odds as opposed to character-building obstacles or challenges to propel us forward in purpose. To make that mental shift, the 4 F's formula is proposed to give emotional freedom. The first F is faith. Faith is defined as the immovable foundation that we stand upon to overcome fear, self-doubt, bullies, marital discord, injustice, and the like. Everybody needs faith. Without faith, it is impossible to see beyond the immediate. Faith reminds us that there is something greater than ourselves, our desires, and our instant gratification. Faith lets us know that there is a bigger picture, that our purpose is what propels us, not our position. That purpose must be grounded in faith. But faith is all theory until it is tested. The second F is focus. Focus confirms what really matters. You must remain focused on the things that matter. Lifehack.org provides 7 ways we can focus on what really matters. The first step is to set important tasks to be completed daily. What is it that you want to accomplish today? This allows you to prioritize the things that are coming at you. The second way is to seek to provide value in all that you do. In other words, quality over quantity. If it's worth doing, then it's worth doing well. The third one is to plan for the long term. SMART goals, goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. There needs to be a timeline on those goals. Fourth, you need to have a vision. Narrow it down. Everything average or one thing great. You choose. Fifth, create a dedicated vision board, planner, or calendar. This is like a reminder, your director. It tells you where to go to next. What's the next step that you need to take or you should anticipate? Number 6 is to schedule regular weekly check-ins. Take that time to evaluate your progress and review your goals. That way you can keep your goals in front of you and keep your eyes on the prize. And finally, number 7, set aside some time for yourself. I always advise people to make sure they put themselves on their calendar. Make sure you have that time for you. That time to refresh, recharge, so that you can be ready to tackle the next day. The third F is fortitude. Fortitude is the mental power needed to repeatedly overcome difficulty, discouragement, pain, and or adversity. Fortitude doesn't allow you to give up. It empowers you to give up what's causing you to give up. And finally, the fourth F that he shares is follow through. Follow through is the evidence that your faith, focus, and fortitude are working together. Your breakthrough is in the follow through. When we don't go through, we are stagnating our purpose. We are choosing fear over faith, distraction over focus, and surrender over fortitude. This causes us to erect emotional barriers to protect us from the fear, the disappointment, and the frustration. But in order to break through emotional barriers, you must hold firmly to your purpose and keep your eyes on the prize. When you understand your why, the how becomes irrelevant. You just keep pressing forward. Your breakthrough is in the follow-through. In our next and final episode in this series, we'll take a look at the qualities of people with high emotional intelligence. So my character challenge for you this week is to take the time to examine your why and define your focus. Write it down and review it daily. As always, I love hearing from you, so please send me your feedback and your stories. You can send a note or you can tag us on Facebook and Instagram at Character Class, or on Twitter, character_class, or simply email us at podcast@thecharacterclass.com. Share your story with us and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. Follow us online and join in on the conversation. And remember, that all of our references from today's podcast can be accessed over on our show notes. And until next time, remember that character can change the world.
Thank you for listening to the Character Class podcast. You can follow the Character Class on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you've not already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another Character Class podcast.